Hey, there we go. Okay. Caught that early. Microphone was off. I think the button on my mixer did not work. Let me take a quick look at the settings, make sure everything's looking good. Okay. We are set. So let's take a look at weather across North America this evening. So we've got high pressure covering most of the country. The 10-20 millibar isobar looks like this. Extends all the way up into the Northwest Territories, all the way down the West Coast, and just covering a huge chunk of the U.S., basically all of this right here. The only differences to that is right here we've got a little trough over the Northeast U.S. and another little trough over Alberta, the prairies. That's a Alberta clipper coming southward. You can see the leading edge just like that. There's probably a little warm front like that. And this also likely probably has a bit of a frontal appearance there, maybe a frontal boundary there. So not a whole lot to talk about. Temperatures came up pretty quickly. We're back up to the 50s and 60s in Texas. And at this hour, we've got 54 there at Amarillo. It's actually warmer there than it is at Houston, where it's 48. We've also got the appearance of a plateau high. This is a high that settles in when we have these very deep cold air masses that spill off over into the Great Basin area. And you can see the temperatures here are very cold. That's because we have stratus and fog settling into the valleys there. So temperatures are running about -8, which is going to be your upper teens there in places like just northeast of Boise, near Burns, and in places like Salt Lake City. Let me see if I can take a closer look at that, and we'll go to one of the small scale charts. And this shows that we do have some fog there in the Salt Lake City area. 29 degrees, very cool conditions. 16 there at Twin Falls with fog, and lots of stratus from Boise up to Ontario, Idaho, and even some fog up near the Spokane area. And this fog and stratus can actually last up to about a week or two if there's nothing there to break it up. Here's what the large-scale pattern looks like. This is the thickness and isobars. So it looks like the cold air is definitely covering part of the Mexican plateau still today. And here comes that Alberta clipper coming south. Not showing much of a signature on that trough in the Lake Ontario area. It's probably a very weak front going through that region. And most of this other area, this is all cold air advection. It looks like actually there's a little warm air advection ahead of the Alberta clipper. You can see that the thickness and the isobars form boxes. So there's a box right there. So there's probably going to be an increase in clouds there in Minnesota and Wisconsin tonight. Here's a look at the, what chart is this? 850 millibar chart. This is showing kind of a reflection of the surface patterns. So we've got a little bit of troughing out in the Great Lakes area, a little bit of residual troughing in Georgia and Alabama. So there may be a bit of an 850 front like that right there. You can see the very warm conditions there at 850 at Wilmington and Charleston there. So there could be a few clouds hanging on at this hour. And then we'll go up to the 250 millibar pattern. This is up at about 34,000 feet. And we've got our main polar front jet there over the northeast U.S., extending all the way from Louisiana. And then we've got another jet coming into the Dakotas with 110 to 130 knot winds there. So that'll help continue to bring some cold air southward out of Canada, although if we look at the temperature anomaly, there's actually not a whole lot of cold air up there, which is kind of unusual for this time of year. You can see Conditions unusually warm. That's not usually what we see with this northwesterly flow. So, yeah, things do look a little bit anomalous there in western Canada and parts of the Arctic. Temperatures in the far north, Greenland, and the Arctic ice pack running about 10 to 15 Celsius degrees above normal. This seems to happen a lot. I really hope that this is not a sign of long-term change here. All right, moving forward, let's take a look at the long wave pattern and see how that shapes up. About 4 or 5 days ago, things looked like this right here. So troughing over the central U.S. up to the Hudson Bay region. And things are finally progressing. We've broken up that blocking pattern that we've had out here. And if we look at the long wave pattern, going forward, yeah, they're progressing. And now we've got the long wave trough over the meridian where New York is. So about 70 degrees west there. And then the long wave ridge located on the west coast right there from British Columbia down to California. And looks like we're shaping up with another long wave off the Pacific coast. Okay, this is probably a good time to take a look at the satellite photo. So here's how things look across the northern hemisphere. And yeah, it looks like things are progressing. Systems moving east to west there in the Pacific. And another little upper level system coming on shore near Baja California. All right, we got Ryan Toomey's here in chat and calling for temperatures dropping into the lower 40s in Miami. Yeah, that's a lot of cold air. I wonder how many people in Miami own heaters. I guess they would be needed for a few weeks every winter. We have Burl H here and Fun with Tech. Adam Davis looking for a winter storm watch in effect for Pennsylvania. 6 inches of lake effect snow. Yeah, definitely with that northwesterly flow that will bring in the lake snows, especially in November and December. Joseph Fitzwater mentioning the lake effect snow made for a great game up in Buffalo. Got Michael Burrell here and Electric Dog, Carl Berghoff, Ron Chalfant saying, how about those Packers? Brett Dean digging out under 3 inches of snow there, 31 degrees and cloudy. David Moore is going to catch up on the webcast tomorrow. Janissary James joining from Santa Barbara. Michael Burrell got over 12 inches of snow there in Carrollton, Georgia. Wow, 12? I had no idea. Carrollton, Georgia, near the state line is... I'm wondering if that's near the Columbus area. So he's got some pictures of snow, and yeah, I'll try to get to those later tonight. I will tell you guys, I've had a whole lot of trouble keeping up on email. About a week or two ago, I had about 420 emails, 430 emails or so in my email box, and it's like, you know, when I dig out from under all that, then I've got like 100 more, and I will. So yeah, I am running a little bit behind, but I will try to get to that. Ron Chalfant, unbelievable fire activity near Santa Barbara, 200,000 acres. Andrew Hotchkiss asking about that small-scale observation chart that's going to be... There's 2 places you can get that. One is at aviationweather.gov. The other is at University UCAR. The RAP, research, I think it's Research Applications Program. They've got a weather site. It's basically weather.rap.ucar.edu. Sarah Wood mentioning a few inches of snow there in northern Indiana. And Michael Burrell reporting Carrollton, 150 miles north. Okay, that's way north. Okay, so yeah, that sounds like it's just west or northwest of Atlanta. Okay, one way we can take a look at the storm system out in the west is to look at the water vapor imagery. Sometimes the structure shows up a little bit better there. And we can see a very well-defined dry slot coming in the backside of that system. And then by looking at the curvature, looks like we've got the center of our system right there coming on shore there in Baja California. And most likely what we have for a jet stream pattern, possibly something like that. And we could also have a pattern kind of like this here. That could be going on also. So a couple different prospects for the flow around this system. Typically, when we do have this dry slot working in like that, we'll tend to find the jet on the boundary between the very dry conditions here and the very moist conditions right there. And that's because we have kind of like a transverse circulation across that, where we have descent on this side and ascent on that side right there. So what you see here, this is more of an effect rather than a cause. Okay, so let's take a look at the vorticity chart and see how well that correlates. This is up at 500 millibars though, so things may look a little bit different, but we should see a little bit of jet stream energy in that area. Okay, so yeah, right now, there we go. Position looks pretty good. There's the center of circulation off the Baja California coast. And there's a little bit of jet stream energy there at 500 millibars. And that should show up better on the upper level panels. So right there, however, I don't know how well this factors in the model data. Obviously, there's a lot of this chart may be built on observational data. I don't know if the contours are coming from model fields, however. One way we can figure that out is to go to the models. So here's the 200 millibar analysis, and that's the current picture. So yeah, jet stream energy coming onshore there in Baja California. And there's a segment heading right there into Texas. So most of the heavier jet stream energy is heading offshore. In fact, it's down there in Florida. And let's see what kind of changes we're looking at over the next week or so. Looks like that little low comes onshore and moves up into the Arizona area. And I think it opens up there into that trough. So we find it in the Texas area around Tuesday. Okay, so it looks like the flow also increases in Texas. You can see how tonight, all we see here is 60 to 80 knot winds here. And then by Tuesday, we've got 90 to 100 knot winds. So the flow is picking up down there in Texas. Persistent troughing down to the southwest. We've got this very persistent positive tilt trough. It's a long wave trough, but it's stretching there from the Great Lakes down to the southwest U.S. And then we have our next jet max coming out of Montana and the Dakotas there. Here comes a very strong trough around Saturday, about 6 days from now. And we find that later in the weekend into the central U.S. And looks like you can see this anticyclonic pattern here. That's probably indicating a bit of a subtropical jet. So maybe a bit of coupling there, jet stream energy. Things quiet down once again around the 19th and 20th. Looks like some amplification there of maybe the patterns. I think that may be subtropical jet there for the 21st up into the central U.S. Another trough comes down. And then, yeah, things get interesting here around the 24th. That's a very strong trough there in the Four Corners area. So that's probably going to bring some very significant changes. We see the flow becoming very meridional there in Texas. Very highly amplified there. So that's going to mean some weather for this area here around Christmas. Of course, this is 384 hours out. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, obviously, but I think we're going to find maybe an active weather pattern somewhere around the U.S. at least. The timing is usually the big problem compared to the position, so yeah, I think we're looking at things to be kind of active coming up for this holiday. All right, let's see here. I guess we'll head into the forecast, and we've got a geography game to try out. We haven't done that in a long time. There we go. So let's look at the forecast. So starting out, high pressure there and a couple of Alberta clippers coming through. So this next one will be coming into Illinois and Iowa and Missouri around Monday. So that'll probably bring a few snow showers there to Wisconsin, Michigan, and maybe even Illinois and Iowa. And lake effect snows are possible too, and that is more tied to the alignment of the low-level flow with the lakes. So with the southerly flow here, Monday afternoon coming from south to north, that's going to give lake effect snows to the Canadian shores, to the southern shores of the UP of Michigan, for example. And then when the flow turns around later during the day, now we've got northerly flow, and that brings lake effect snows into Michigan, for example, right in this area here. All right, so this will continue progressing eastward. More lake effect snows for Erie and probably Cleveland, but Buffalo also on Tuesday. So that system kind of comes together there on Tuesday. And then it heads off to the west on Wednesday, out of the picture. Another system coming southward on Wednesday. So coming through at a pretty good tempo here. And looks like another one. This one heads a little bit further north on Saturday there. Very strong southwesterly flow for this weekend from Texas all the way to Indiana. This is probably going to bring a strong warm-up. But we do have the baroclinic boundary out to the west. So I think we're going to see a front, maybe, kind of a frontal boundary just south of that. And if we get any upper-level troughs picking up this boundary, we should see some development. Okay, so what we see here, not a whole lot of development initially, but this is 186 hours out, so it's not out of the realm of possibility something could pick up that boundary. We know it's going to be there. We do see one system come through the Dakotas there Sunday into Monday. The baroclinicity is still there across the northern Rockies, and it looks like this next system almost definitely picks it up around Thursday, the 21st. Got southerly flow coming up on the Texas Gulf Coast there on the 21st, so the Gulf is going to be open, bringing up moisture. So a few showers start developing there, and our first cold front comes southward. Okay, so the frontal boundaries are going to be looking like this around the 21st again. This is just an approximation, but things do look active here for the 22nd. And then, yeah, what we've probably got going on here is some flow up at 850 coming atop this cold dome. So a lot of isentropic lift associated with this ahead of the next trough down there in northwest Mexico. So a lot of things coming together here around the 24th and 25th. And GFS calling for snow and ice in Texas on the 25th. But keep in mind, 360 hours out, the models may very well flip-flop there. And then some more cold air coming southward. Okay, so that's going to be the forecast. So Christmas gradually coming within range here. Okay, Brett Dean, they're looking for lake effect snows in southern New Jersey. Michael Burrell picked up the Weather Map Handbook. Appreciate that. Glad you're enjoying that. And Carl Burkhoff looking for the geography, wondering how sharp his knowledge is. Are online maps allowed yet? I'm not sure I understand the question there. Online maps. Okay, sorry, I must be off. I guess my mind is somewhere else right now, but let's start our geography game. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to run through 10 photos. And all you have to do is guess where in the U.S. it is. This is going to be in the lower 48. Post in chat as soon as I tell you to go. You'll have about 45 seconds. But when we say stop, then you have to stop there. Otherwise, your answers will get jumbled up here. And I'm going to take these later on after the webcast and sort through them to figure out who is the closest. But before we go, I will tell you where everything is. So if you're all ready, here we go. We'll start the first one. Okay, see if you can take a guess where this is. Just post the state, state, city, anywhere where you think this might be. So all you have to do is write your answer in the chat. I'm going to put a marker here for my own use. Mount Rainier, Macon, Mississippi, a couple of guesses there. Georgia, Maine. Okay, so I'll give you about 10 more seconds to take a guess, and then we'll move on. Okay, we're wrapping up now. Here we go with photo 2. Take a guess on this one. Salina. Yeah, I like that one. Okay, we're getting some different guesses. Utah, Albuquerque, Carson City, Utah, and Arizona. Okay, so I'll give you about 10 more seconds, and I'm going to start typing up the divider for photo 3. And once I post the divider, I can't keep the answer separated, so keep that in mind. Okay, so here we go. Photo 3. So we've got a scene here on an interstate highway. Now, I realize nobody's going to be able to nail this or any of these photos, but we're trying to find who can get the closest to all of them. Okay, and we need your answers. I'll give you a few more seconds while I make a backup to make sure I've got these. Okay, 10 seconds here. Okay, here we go. Here we go, photo 4. So you got a bit of a clue here. So this is definitely not Illinois. And if you answer Texas, I'm going to pick the center, the geographic center of the state. So we need to know what part of Texas, or we're going to go with the geographical center there. Oh, sorry about that. I bumped the mic. Okay, somebody guessing Woodward. Well, that's only a few miles from Texas, so that's definitely viable. All right, and I need to tell you that there is going to be a prize. So I've got one of my books here. It's probably going to be a edition of Weather Map Handbook or Weather Analysis and Forecasting. Okay, so let me get photo 5 set up. And here we go. And in spite of what you see here, this is not Deadwood. And this will be either the West Coast or the East Coast. All right, need your guesses. We'll start typing up the divider. We're going to have 6, 7, 8. We're going to have 5 more photos. Florida, okay. Florida and Oregon and Tampa and Maine. Some guesses coming in here. Olympia. Okay, the divider's going to come up and we're going to do photo 6 here. Ready? Okay, here we go. Photo 6. And we will go through at the end and give you the answers here. So a little bit of yucca there in the foreground. And some ocotillo, that little thing sticking up. And there's some tentacle-shaped things. I'm not too... Maybe that's the ocotillo, I'm not sure. I think that thing sticking up in the middle might be some flowers from that yucca. I'm not sure. Those are the two names that come to mind. I think that's what we got in the image there. So take your guess. And I'm going to start typing up the divider, and we'll go to photo 7. Okay, 5 more seconds here. Wrap up the answers. Okay, photo 7. Here we go. Alright, I don't want to say anything about the image because that'll give it away here. But that is a interstate there. So I need your guesses in the next 10 seconds, and I'm going to start typing up the divider. Okay, let's wrap things up. 5 more seconds. Okay, here we go. Photo number 8. And what you see on the horizon there, that is a silo. So we don't have too many of those in Louisiana. And then after this, we have 2 more photos. So I need your answers here in the next 15 seconds. And let me type up the divider here for the next photo. Okay, so the answers, 5 seconds. Okay, here we go. Photo number 9, and yeah, I'll take that Lincoln in Iowa there. But yeah, let's do photo. I'll throw in one more divider here to make sure I've got your answers. Okay, let's do photo number 9. So it looks like some granite. Doesn't, I don't know. That could be limestone, but I think that might be granite there. Not a whole lot to go on, but, you know, we're just having fun. Some people may be able to identify the trees here. And some people just may have a sixth sense about the photo. Okay, so let me type up the divider and we'll do the last question. Okay, so here we go. Photo number 10. Photo number 10, here we go. I'm going to turn off the heater while you guys do that. Okay, so go ahead and bring in your answers. I'll give you about 20 seconds here, and I'll find some music for the answer segment. Okay. All right, some good answers coming in here. Minneapolis, Cincinnati, New York, Maine, Oklahoma City, quite a few. All right. So that'll wrap things up, and let me get some music. Okay, so let's check out the answers. This first one here is Nickerson, Minnesota, about 27 miles southwest of Duluth. There's probably not any clues there except for maybe the vegetation. Okay, photo number 2. This is Palo Duro Canyon, Texas. It's along the Texas Caprock, about 15 miles southeast of Amarillo. And for those of you who have been there, it's probably distinctly recognizable. Photo number 3. This is Chandler, Georgia. So we're about 65 miles west-northwest of Savannah. Our next photo, number 4. Lopeño, Texas, about 50 miles southeast of Laredo, close to the Mexican border. It's got a lot of mesquite along that highway, very low-top trees. So for those of us in Texas, that's kind of a giveaway. Photo number 5. This is La Push, Washington, near Quileute. And I saw some good answers come in for the Portland area, and somebody I think mentioned Olympia. So pretty good there. And one thing I noticed is that when you look at Texas, when you look at photos of the West Coast, starting with Oregon and going north, you see more and more of this wood along the beaches. And I guess that just may be a lot of old growth there that just piles up and gets driven on the coast by storms. Photo number 6. This is Bowie, Arizona. About 7 miles west of there, close to Interstate 10. Photo number 7. This is Klein's Corner in New Mexico, and I saw one guest come through for Albuquerque, which is very close. And this is way up high, about 7,000 to 8,000 feet above sea level. The interstate gets very, very high in that area, and then it starts dropping down around Albuquerque there. Photo 8, Orangeville, Illinois, about 110 miles west-northwest of Chicago. It's got that rolling hills look that you see in the northern plains from all the glaciers that were here a long time ago. This one is Sydney, Kentucky, about 120 miles east-southeast of Lexington. And then the last one, this is Woburn, Massachusetts, near Boston, about 10 miles northwest of Boston. And I thought that was really pretty, so yeah, that's a good way to end the webcast. Okay, so I think that's about all I got for tonight. I appreciate you all playing the game. Let me copy the answers here to make sure I've got everybody's answers here. Okay, so yeah, everything is saved and in the digital vault, and I'll go through those tonight, and we'll announce the winners tomorrow. And maybe we'll do a second runner-up prize here. All right, so that's about all I got for tonight. I appreciate you watching the webcast, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow. Take care.